I'm calling about some flight cancellations, multiple flight cancellations, which ends in a happy ending, which I'll cover at the very end. But essentially, my wife booked flights from London to Seattle, return flights. She got to Seattle, no issues there. And then 3 weeks before she was due to return, the airline contacted her saying the flight had been cancelled. She called them. They booked her onto a flight the same night with a different airline, sort of a partner airline, a code share thing. She went for that flight at 2 a.m. They got disembarked from the plane, told it was cancelled. She was then booked on by that airline 2 days later on the same time from the same airport. 1 hour into that flight, unfortunately, the flight had problems. They returned to Seattle, so it was essentially cancelled again. I was in China, so I was unable to help. Our children were in this country, aged 3 and 5, so we managed to get childcare for the next couple of days. They were trying to then book her onto the exact same airline at the same time the following night, and she just said, I'm not doing it. You've cancelled it twice. They would not move her onto any other flight, so she refused to take it and paid completely separately to a different airline, paid £2,000 to get home to our children.
Okay.
We have written a complaint to the original airline that we booked the ticket with. They replied earlier this week to say nothing to do with them. You need to go to the airline that they transferred us to. So where do we stand with compensation or something like that?
Yeah, Nigel, you're not going to like what I've got to say.
Okay.
The rules on flight cancellations. First of all, if a flight is cancelled more than 2 weeks out, the airline doesn't give you any compensation. They're obliged to either refund or rebook, and they rebooked.
They did do that, yeah.
Right. Then you get the 2 consecutive cancellations at 2 a.m. and a couple of days after. Again, this time you are entitled to compensation, or your wife is rather. I don't have the amount in my head, but from Canada, it's going to be around the £500 mark.
Yeah, okay.
However, although they are obliged to pay for compensation for any food and any accommodation while your wife was in Seattle. Did I say Canada?
Yeah.
Sorry, Seattle.
Yeah, that's okay.
Food and accommodation while your wife was in Seattle.
Yep.
And they're obliged to get her home. If your wife chooses to book her own flight back, all their obligations end at that point. Now, it's ridiculous when someone like you has children that they've got to get back to. I mean, it's absurd, but that's what the law is, I'm afraid, Nigel. The moment she booked her own flight, she lost the right to any additional compensation.
Wow. Okay. So is she entitled to compensation for the 2 that were cancelled?
Well, she's entitled to about £500, but she only gets it once.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. What she won't get is the additional £2,000 that she's had to pay.
Yeah.
She's also entitled to the value of the return limb of her original flight. So if you have the price for the return limb of the original flight, she's entitled to that back as well.
Right, okay.
But if that was less than 2,000, as I suspect it would have been, then she'll be out of pocket for the difference.
Yeah, okay. Okay, all right. That's perfect. Thank you. The happy ending, Daniel, was she was there for IVF, and on Friday we had our 20-week scan, which was all successful. So, successful trip overall.
Oh, congratulations, Nigel. That's wonderful. What's her name?
What, my wife?
Your wife.
My wife's name's Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, if you're listening, huge congratulations to you. That's a wonderful ending to a horrible story.